Well, we are officially at that stage now, the infamous content drought stage of every World of Warcraft expansion. As someone who has been playing the game for 8 years, since Warlords of Draenor, I have my ways to deal with this content drought and boredom. If you are a long-time player, you are likely to know everything I would suggest in this video. But how about the newer players? Let's dive in. Well, this is the most simple, yet in my opinion, the least common option. Just take a break. A week, a month, 2 months, an entire patch. Just take a break. Play other games or just do not play games at all if you do not want to. I too took a lot of breaks during PFA, for example, not for the reasons related to gameplay, but rather I had a lot of shit to cover during that time period. But nonetheless, I took several breaks during Battle for Azeroth and I never regret doing that. And the thing is, if you are bored, I mean really bored of the game to the point that playing the game makes you feel exhausted, the more you force yourself to play it, the worse it gets. I know this suggestion would seem very simple, but as I observe our community, I realized most of the people who are toxic on the social media are the people who hate playing the game, but forcing themselves to keep playing it for unknown reasons. Because the more you force yourself to do something you are bored with, the more you disgust it or even hate it in time. Just take a break, however long it is. And for my personal suggestion, do not play another MMO. Rather, play some single player games. There are great single player games out there, and by playing them, you just would let yourself get away from everything for a while. Play Warcraft 3 if you have never played it, for example. It's a milestone of lore that you need to know. But of course, in the end, that's a personal preference. Well, yet again, this is all about personal preference, but if I were you, I would not play WoW Classic if I was really bored out of the concept of World of Warcraft. Yes, the Classic and Retail WoW are different games in a sense due to the fact that they belong to two different eras, but at heart, they are still the same game. If you play Classic Wrath of the Lich King while waiting for Dragonflight, for example, in theory, you would experience something really different. At heart, it's still the same game. This is an opinion of debate. WoW's gameplay hasn't changed much since its first release in 2004. Yes, the pace of the game is faster than the Classic era. Leveling, raids and dungeons have changed significantly. That's also true, but at heart, the overall gameplay experience of WoW, the logic at the core of the game, is still the same. So yes, you can play Wrath of the Lich King Classic, I respect that, but I would not if I were you. But if you choose to play till Dragonflight, I respect that. Well, you decided to stay in retail and look for things to do to refresh yourself. The first and in my opinion the most effective idea would be trying out a different role. I do not mean switching from melee DPS to range DPS. No. If you only played as a DPS in the game so far, try out the healer role. What would you lose? We are in an experimental season, so there is no curve or cutting edge to pursue. Just try out a different role. Become a tank. Heal people or smash bosses if you have never played a DPS before. I did it in 9.0, switched from DPS to healer and ended up maining a healer. As I have realized playing as a healer, I have a lot more potential than staying in DPS, and it's more fun, in my opinion. Maybe your new main awaits there. waiting for you just to try out something different. Well, if you are a semi-core or a hardcore player, and if you are bored of doing raids and mythic pluses over and over again, you may need to take a seat and think. Maybe you could change your playstyle, at least temporarily. What do I mean by it? Can give an example of my own experience. As a semi-hardcore player, the ending of expansions are most likely the periods where I got bored of doing the same raid or dungeons over and over again. I level up new characters, but not in the way you think. I do not spam dungeons. Instead, I level my characters only with quests. Can you imagine leveling a character with only doing quests? Here I have a challenge for you. Go level up in Northrend from start to finish. Do not skip an orbit and read quest texts, or finish the entire Pandaria questline if you have never played it before. As someone who started playing in Warlords, finishing up the entire storyline of Pandaria while I was waiting for Shadowlands was one of the best experiences I had in the entire game. Because while I knew the overall storyline of Pandaria, it was incredible to get lost in the actual story of Pandaria, and I realized why a lot of players remember Mists of Pandaria as one of the greatest expansions of WoW. Especially if you are a new player, go finish every Cataclysm zone, Burning Crusade zone, etc. and get your Lore Master achievement along the way. The key point in this challenge is not to enter a single dungeon, but to level up by only doing quests. You will see, it would be a great refreshment. And that's all for today's video. I just wanted to have a quick and dirty fun video for this week, and I hope you liked it. What do you guys think? What do you do when you are bored? What are your suggestions? Please let me know in the comments below.